Good evening, fellow classmates. This is Matthew Hansel, and we're going to talk about disaster recovery. What is disaster recovery? What are some types of the actual disasters that we want to recover from or plan for? And what are some options we can actually do that planning and recovery? How can we do it? So, according to the textbook, disaster recovery is defined as the methods to ensure organizations recover from disasters that affected computer operations. Makes sense so far. How can we recover when our computer operations are affected? Margaret Roos defines it as disaster recovery is the area of security planning that deals with protecting an organization from the effects of significant negative events. In other words, disaster recovery is part of your security planning. Disaster recovery is a plan that we need to implement. So, put in another way, it's the act of recovering from some type of disaster. How do we plan, and how do we recover, and how do we implement this recovery plan from these disasters? Natural, human, those are the couple of types of disasters we're looking at here. So, what's a natural disaster? Power outage. Thunderstorm, power goes out. Oops. Flood. Well, somebody left the water running in the bathroom. Or heavy rains. Fire. Well, that's not good. Tornado and hurricanes, earthquakes. These all can cause a business interruption. It can be as little as a temporary interruption. We lose power. Power's out for a couple of hours, so we're down for a few hours. Data lines go down. We can't connect to the internet for a little while. Floods, fires, we can lose part of our equipment, which could lose data, or just cause us some interruption, like we lost a few workstations because engineering went up in flames. Oh goodness, half the building was lost due to a fire, and our server room was in there. We didn't lose everything, but we lost some really important stuff. In case of tornadoes, hurricanes, earthquakes, we can lose the entire building. We're talking everything's gone. Servers, desks, workstations, everything. Equipment, data, gone. Goodbye. Human disasters. Okay, we all know what these are. I deleted a file. I opened an email with a virus. We got hacked by Anonymous. And, we unplugged the power to the server because, well, we thought we needed to vacuum in the area. These are also business interruptions, and they all can cause loss of data, compromised data, or corrupted data. Loss of data, losing the files due to deleting or accidental deletion. Compromised data, viruses, network attacks. Corrupted data, viruses, power outages. You pull the power on a server or a workstation and don't properly shut it down, you lose data. You corrupt it. So, all of this scariness being said, what are some options we can do to plan for recovering from these disasters? Well, the Cadillac version, the high-end BMW, Mercedes, whatever you want to call it, the Lamborghini, is what we call a hot site. A hot site is just that. It is a building ready to go with all of the equipment duplicated, and all you have to do is flip the switch and turn it on. Okay? You can move to the new location, begin business operations immediately. You have very little downtime because everything's being synchronized from your main office to this hot site. Servers are already running. They're ready to go. They can be mirrored. But, as I said, this is the Cadillac, the Lamborghini, the Mercedes, the BMW. This is the top of the line. This is a costly endeavor. You need to have the space to do this. You need to own that or rent it, and that can get expensive if you're renting. Say you're a manufacturing company, and you are manufacturing parts for GM, the big three, whatever. Your building goes up in flames or gets destroyed. You need to, and you have a hot site, you're not only having the hot site for data equipment, servers, workstations, you're also having your manufacturing equipment, your machining, your tool and die equipment. You're talking about having a large space and a large investment to have a hot site ready to go in case something happens. So you're talking about duplicate equipment, system licensing. So many people forget about, well, I have this server that's just sitting there doing nothing. Well, you have to have a license for that server. Now, that might be able to be worked out with the manufacturer of the software. You might be able to work something out with Microsoft, or if you're using some kind of open source system like Linux, which is free, you probably don't have those licensing fees, but it's something to take into account. Technically, it can be really intense to make sure the data is replicated. You're talking different types of data structures. How are we going to get the data over there? What kind of network connections do we need to have between the two buildings? It can get complicated. It can be automated, but it can get complicated. Some systems might not even be up to date. Your workstations, your servers, they may not have the latest operating systems on them. They may not have the latest versions of Office on them because, quite frankly, you're really concerned about the data and that's synchronized, but what about making sure that operating systems are up to date and secure? You may have that in place. You may have a plan you do that every month. I'm not sure. But a hot site is expensive. It's great because you can recover quickly. It's expensive. Newer technologies allowing for some simpler implementations, maybe less costly servers that we can implement because we can do virtualization. We can do something called disk to virtual servers without being complicated. You take an actual server and you're able to convert it to a virtual hard drive, a virtual disk version of it. Okay, so we talked about the Lamborghini, Mercedes, whatever, Cadillac. Let's start talking about the Impala level. The Buick level. A little luxury, but not quite as extravagant as that Lamborghini model that you were talking about. Cold sites. Similar concept as a hot site, but less expensive. You can recover quickly, but it's going to take you a little bit longer. You still need to have the space or be able to get the space quickly. You need to have some of the equipment already in place, workstations, servers, things like that. You need to have the utilities ready to go, but that's going to be part of the slower recovery time. Turning the utilities up, data connections, heat, light, power. You got to get it turned on. Whereas with the hot site, those are already running. Hence, more expensive. Cold site, it's not running. Not as expensive per month. But you still have to wait for the companies to turn up those utilities. And then, if you're not doing regular synchronizations, which you're probably not, you're going to have to recover data from backups. Nothing's going to be as up to date as a hot site. And again, the regular workstations, servers aren't going to be as up to date, which could cause security issues potentially. Other items, maybe software is not as up to date, so on and so forth. Again, this newer technology, virtualizing, is probably going to help eliminate some of the factors between the hot site and cold sites. But that all being said, you still need to look at cost advantages. And these are less expensive. You're just going to take a little longer to come back. Depends on the business. It might be okay if it takes you 3 to 5 days to a week to get up and running. If you're in a medical situation, i.e. a hospital, hot site might be the best way to go. Cold site, maybe a manufacturing company, maybe just a small business that's just doing some more business type operations. Now, maybe a dental office might even be able to be a cold site. But most companies that I deal with personally are smaller business. They're not going to spring for a hot site or a cold site for that matter. They're going to focus on data backups. Because not all the disasters that they face are business stopping or will cause them to lose business. Let's say they lose power for an extended period of time. Yeah, they'll lose some patients possibly, or because they can't be reached immediately. They might lose a few customers, but they're really focusing more on overwritten or deleted files, viruses, things like that. And that's where they focus on doing data backups. The very minimum that we need to do to recover from a disaster is to have your data backed up. That can be on-site disk-to-disk backups, which you can do in data only, where you're just backing up your data. Great for retrieving lost files, recovering from virus attacks. Then we can get in bare metal. These are great for system recoveries. So your building goes up in flames. God forbid it doesn't happen, but say it goes up in flames. This bare metal recovery will allow you to order a new server and recover right from where your last backup was. It could be a day, it could be a week, depending on how often you do your backups. But it will get you back up and running. Now, another option, especially for data recovery or data retrieval for lost files and possibly virused files, is Windows Previous Version. Basically, the server does a shadow copy twice a day. I'll get a call from a customer. Oh my goodness, I lost my file, I deleted it, I changed it, and I can't find a recovery. I can go back to the previous versions and recover the file. Boom, we're done. Another option, cloud backup. Cloud backup is just that. Your data is backed up to the cloud. That'll allow you to pull the data to any location, whether it be a hot site, a cold site, or just some other building you're renting temporarily to get you kind of up and running. Okay? Great for quick recoveries, great for long-term power outages. You can get to an internet connection and you can get to your files. I threw in battery backups because we kept talking about power outages. Power outages, a battery backup will really more or less allow a system to shut down properly and prevent from power spikes, power surges, power sags. It's going to help prevent data corruption from improper shutdowns, and it's going to protect the equipment from those surges, spikes, sags. So really, companies of all sizes need some type of disaster recovery plan. Put it into their security planning, put it into any kind of planning that they're going to have, but they have to have some kind of disaster recovery plan, and it needs to include at least a data backup. I recommend one drive per day, backing up with one of them taken offsite every day. Disasters are the right event at the wrong time. Sean Hinson mentioned that in the discussion boards this year, and he hit that right on the head. It is so correct. It is the right event at the wrong time. It just happens at the wrong time. Okay? To avoid that event being the end of the company, plan for disaster recovery. Think about this stuff. No plan is going to result in a bigger disaster than actually planning. And companies can't recover from data loss if they don't have the data to recover. So if my building goes up in flames and I chose to only do no backups and just rely on, oh yeah, everything will be fine, I'm going to be in trouble as a company if that's my plan. So we can go to the Lamborghini model, the hot site, or at least do the minimum. Do a cloud backup of your data. At least your files are there, and maybe you can rebuild from there. I really appreciate your time tonight. And if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please feel free to jump on the discussion boards. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you.